In this session, let's learn about CSS3's margin and padding. It's the most commonly used property for spacing out elements. A margin is a space outside something, and then padding is the space inside something. What am I talking about? This brings me to introduce you all to something called as a box model. In this model, you have a content area, let's say something called a text. Surrounding that, you have the padding. And surrounding the padding, you have the border. And surrounding that, you have margin. So the philosophy remains the same, that a margin is outside of something and padding is inside of something. So it's very important. A lot of people get confused here, but this is the foundation to learning a lot of CSS in the future. You don't need to remember a lot of this except understanding the box model and how margin and padding works. Let's see what I'm talking about in the code straight away. Let me go back to my Chrome, and let's say I have to write something like content, and I have a paragraph, and when I say that the content is here, but what if I need to move it around something and give it some kind of styling and colors like you see in the previous session? But I'm going to create and explore what padding and margin is. So let me create a simple style, and just to identify the color, I'm going to add a color, and let's say I'm going to call it gray, and then we come back to adding what we call a margin. Well, let's see what I just did by clicking on run, and see how that looks when I add background color to my element. And now inside that box, and I want to say make it something, move it around. I want to control where I place my paragraph by using styling. So that's done by margin. So if I put a margin, let's say 50 pixel, I want this particular paragraph to be moved outside of that place that it is right now, and give it a margin and move it towards the right section or of the browser by 50 pixels, and that's what it does. So it's now putting it here. So there is margin at the top and margin on the left. And there is, yes, there is something as a bottom and the right as well. That's what it applies by default. But we're only considering to look at the top and left right now. But look at how that difference it makes. Now what happens if I add a padding, and then if I run, padding is applied inside of that. It's similar to margin, like what margin applied at the top and left. Padding has been applied to the top and left of our element in the paragraph. So that's what it means. It's really important to understanding padding and margin. Do try this out. Once again, it is margin on the outside and padding on the inside. All right. So let's say your designer has come back to you and told you to design something like this on your web page. Let's say this is a nice looking design, and we are not in 2018, and we are still looking at building something like this. So how do we go about doing that? Think about this. Think about understanding, okay, so I need a div there, and I need a div here, and then I need to do something with margin and padding. All right, so that's what it is right now that we need to do. For this video, I'm going to pause it here, let you all think about how do we go about creating this margin and padding, creating something that looks similar to this, and we'll come back to this in the next video. See you in a minute. Thank you.